everyone, I'm Kalki and you're watching Kalki Presents My Indian Life by the BBC World Service. These stories are actually stories about you, about being young and Indian. And I'm just so happy to get all the comments and hear that you're enjoying the season so far. And I think this episode is no different. You're about to meet somebody extraordinary. Picture this. It's the perfect day for a swim at a beautiful seaside resort. The sun is bright and warm. The water in the pool is cool and a deep azure. There's a gentle breeze too. This is bliss. Ritasha, a young woman, is floating on her back, eyes shut, soaking up the vibe. Her black hair is loose, floating in the water. She's wearing a two-piece black bikini. Her hands are by her side. She looks free and happy. Ritasha posted a photo of this moment on her social media profile. She was feeling great, and she wanted to share that feeling with the world. I'm almost envious looking at her. It's such a beautiful photograph, and the water just looks so inviting. Within seconds of posting that picture, though, the comments started coming in.
You're looking so gorgeous. Ooh, so hot and sexy. You're looking perfect. Love you. XOXO. What a baby.
There were those who loved it. But of course, on social media, you're also going to get the haters.
Please don't post such vulgar pictures.
Ritasha ignored the hate. She was used to the trolls. But there was one comment that really caught her attention. All because of one word that this person used to describe her.
You know, I think you're so brave for putting up pictures of yourself in a bikini.
Brave. Why brave? Well, because Ritasha weighed 87 kilograms when this picture was taken. And that's an extra large dress size. And that didn't stop her from either wearing a bikini or putting up a picture of it on social media. Brave because she didn't care about society's body shape stigma. You know, that only a certain type of woman like a size 0 should wear bikinis. That comment infuriated Ritasha so much that she decided to act on it. She wrote an article for a newspaper in Mumbai, quite a popular tabloid with a readership of 22 lakhs. Let me read you an extract. Why is it so shocking if a non-size 0 person wears a bikini, says the headline. Ritasha writes, brave according to the dictionary means willing to endure or face pain or danger without showing fear. It seems a bit crazy to me, but apparently in 2018, a woman who weighs 87 kilograms and wears a bikini and then goes on to post about it on social media is doing an act of bravery. Heard that? End quote. The post also took Ritasha back in time to some painful memories from her school days. Since childhood, Ritasha has been dealing with comments about her weight. It has been an ongoing struggle to feel positive about how she looks, and there's been a constant pressure to lose weight.
There were not enough fat people in my class. There are literally 3 girls I can count on my fingertips, and we were the only bigger, slightly heavier girls. Everyone else was pretty much average to slim to, oh my god, she's so cute, and all the boys have a crush on her, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think every time there was a pool party involved, I was very, very stressed out. Because who knew in those days about high-waisted bikinis? Who knew about different body types rocking bikinis? That didn't exist. It was like everyone's wearing that same Speedo ka costume and you look the way you look.
This is a story of a woman who made the journey from a young girl with crippling body image anxiety to a body positivity influencer, actor, and social media personality. This is also the story of a woman who wants to tell the world today that she's happy, on most days at least, with how she looks. But she's also much more than her body. And can we talk about that, please? I'm Kalki Kekla, and this is Kalki Presents My Indian Life from the BBC World Service, the podcast about being young and Indian in the 21st century. Season 3, Episode 3, Beauty and the Body. My Toxic Teenage Life. Ritasha could write the book. I guess we could all write our own versions. teenagers are just so, I want to say, dramatic. It's our debut into the world. It's the time when our hormones are raging, when we're finding and losing love, and a time when we're desperately conscious of our looks. It's a lot. And Ritasha describes those years to me as toxic teenagehood.
It wasn't wholesome. It wasn't a place where every child could flourish.
I could relate to what Ritasha was talking about. Growing up as a teenager, I was very awkward. I remember having those braces, those really not subtle metallic braces, which were like train tracks, and feeling like I could never smile because of them.
Something like if you have facial hair as a girl, the boys are going to call you out for it. Why? It was that kind of toxic stuff, beauty standards already in school. So from the sixth standard, when you have started getting body hair till the eighth or ninth, like you've been ragged and made fun of for not waxing.
And Ritasha, along with the weight issues, was also dealing with facial hair, pimples, hormones, and emotions all poured into a body still figuring itself out. Her mother, of course, like most Indian mums, didn't let her wax her hair. The most she'd let her do was bleach her sideburns.
I was christened a golden retriever casually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In school.
cash.
Wow.
It's just dumb stuff like that. It's toxic, I think.
Of course. Now, there was no way these classmates were going to ignore her weight. The fact that she didn't look like most of the other girls in her class only added to her insecurities, especially when it came to finding love.
I did want to lose weight, mainly because I needed a boyfriend. That was the crux of it all. I was like, if I'm fat, how will I have a boyfriend?
Her parents, too, were really worried about her weight, but only because they were concerned about her health. Her father, a specialist in problems of the digestive system, recommended a variety of diets, and Ritasha tried all of them, sometimes willingly, sometimes not so much. She really wanted to lose the weight. All of this between the ages of 13 and 18. Did you feel, I don't know, disheartened? Did you feel like you were going to be able to change it?
I thought they didn't love me only. I was very sad. I was like, my parents hate me because I'm fat. I had decided that. I also always imagined, because I think a part of me is always like ever so optimistic, and from a young age, I always imagined that I'm going to grow up and become super fit and stuff. But that time, what was fitness? We didn't know. We only knew thin. So I was like, I want to grow up and become thin. Magically turn into Deepika Padukone is what I had imagined. But nah, that's really not how it works. It took me so long to understand that once you lose weight, then there's the next battle of loose skin and tightening that, or eventually having to do some kind of cosmetic procedures.
She would talk to her sister every now and then about her struggles with her weight. But once, when she was in the 12th standard, she decided to try something new. She went up to all her girlfriends and handed them each one letter. She told them to read it, separately or together, but not in front of her.
And in that, I'd basically requested for their love and support in this journey to lose weight.
Wow.
And I was like, guys, don't tempt me with unhealthy food and just be there for me and stuff like that.
Hearing about this gesture put into perspective for me how much pressure Ritasha must have been under as a young teenager. But alongside all the struggles, Ritasha had a dream. She wanted to be an actor. Ritasha, in fact, remembers a school play she did, a production of Alice in Wonderland, and the experience had offered her a breath of fresh air. It didn't start off well. Ritasha dreamt of playing Alice, but she got the role of the Duchess instead.
It was a fun time to be alive. Also, so many lessons I learned. I think it was in that production itself. I was very upset that I was not Alice. I had high hopes. How can I be Alice? Imagine. But I had expectations. Even at that age, knowing I look the way I look and all of that, I was like, why am I not Alice? Because I was so good, no? Then the directors explained to us very nicely. He was like, there are no small roles, only small actors. And that's the first time I ever heard that, and that stayed with me forever. So I'm like, yeah, that's fine. It's all good.
So, after school, when she told her parents that she wanted to become an actor, her parents were apprehensive at first, but encouraged her to go to drama school. What none of them anticipated was what drama school would do to Ritasha and her sense of self and her body. So here was Ritasha, an adult, at drama school in Singapore, a place where suddenly how she looked was not the main focus. Instead, what mattered was her ability to slip into the shoes of a range of characters. Of course, before inhabiting other characters, an actor would also have to look inwards for inspiration. And that's when Ritasha's transformation really began.
Actor training, it really just like breaks you apart in all ways, physically, mentally, emotionally. And that is what happened those 3 years of drama school. So I think everything I had learned, built up about myself, the limitations I guess I had put on myself. And it never felt, I guess, like a safe space while I was in school in Bombay. No matter how close everyone was to me, how many great friends I had. Like when I did the school play, it was great. That was a safe space. But like regular school isn't a safe space. Drama school is a safe space. Or at least it felt that way to me. And I could be myself. And the other 11 people in your class being like, yes, you got this. Makes a world of a difference. And I guess I just didn't really feel that ever before that.
After drama school, when she returned to Mumbai, she was clear she wanted to be an actor. She had lost quite a bit of weight and was a size smaller, and she was yearning to try her luck on screen. Sometime in 2016, Ritasha saw an audition call for a Hindi television show called Bado Bahu. Loosely translated, it means "Go ahead, my daughter-in-law." The show told the story of Komal, a young woman in a village in Rajasthan, and the directors were auditioning for that central role.
It was a daily soap in which I played the protagonist. But what was her USP? She's the 100 kg Bahu, India's biggest Bahu. These are the kind of PR articles that have come out in the weeks following the launch of this show.
Ritasha was just 22 or 23 years old, eager to find work. So she didn't think much of it. It was her big acting break.
It's a lead role. How often do girls who look like me get offered lead roles? So that was my main thing. I was like, I'm going to play this protagonist and I'm going to act the hell out of it. And I did. But it was that very typical, like, ladki moti hai to usse shaadi nahi karega koi. That was the premise of the show. Like, she's too fat to get married. Eventually, of course, it's a show about empowerment. So she does marry the good-looking, ripped dude in the village and stuff like that happens.
The show was immensely popular at its height. It ran for 2 years and featured a whopping 444 episodes. It was remade in multiple Indian languages: Kannada, Tamil, Malayalam, and Telugu, and even in Bahasa in Indonesia. With the show's success came fame and adulation. But the downside of Bado Bahu's popularity was that Ritasha was now being offered only one kind of role.
I got a lot of calls to play like best friend. And what are my characteristics? Nothing. I'm funny and I love to eat, stuff like that. So I got called in for a lot of like comic fat best friend roles.
I can kind of relate to being the sidekick, the best friend who's funny but annoying, or just somebody who's not very likable and a homebreaker or ready to mess up the plot. And it has been frustrating. I've even had a director approach me and say, "You're going to love this role because it's about a psycho. You know, she's like drinking and really messed up in the head." So yes, I relate to being stereotyped. And Ritasha's reaction was to fight with casting directors and call them out on the stereotype.
I was like, I'll audition for it only if you let me make changes and all to the character. As if they care. I was also very, very fresh out of drama school and my experience with this one TV show. So I was just like, if it's not according to how I want the character, I'm not going to do it. There are 10 other girls in line to play the role. But I would try my best to be like, can I offer a suggestion for this character? Make her a little less two-dimensional. It wasn't usually taken kindly and I never got called back by any of those people. And in a way, I'm glad. Like, I have laughed at casting wallas on their face being like, ha ha ha, no thank you, and cut the call. I'm not doing this role. I'm not interested.
It was around the time of Bado Bahu's release when Ritasha switched her social media profile from private to public. Suddenly, pictures of herself in bikinis, cute dresses, mirror selfies, regular photos that any of us would post, were thrown open to the world. And what happened next changed the course of Ritasha's life once again. It gave her a new purpose. People regularly began expressing their appreciation for her, especially young women. And the messages they wrote her, they read like these little sweet, heartwarming letters. They reminded me of the letters that Ritasha gave her friends back in school.
Hi Ritasha, I know you probably won't even read this, but I wanted to let you know that you're an inspiration. I've had body image issues all my life, but looking at you being confident in your own skin and being absolutely gorgeous makes me feel better about myself. So thank you for being you and the Instagram updates.
Gradually, Ritasha had become a champion for body positivity. Today, her Instagram profile has 150,000 followers. The trolls are still there. They still do what they do. But Ritasha has learned how to handle them. And what's even more incredible is the fact that some of her young female fans now take on the trolls that come after Ritasha, even before Ritasha can do that herself. It's a supportive community of followers. And things have changed with her on-screen career as well. In 2018, she was cast in Masaba Masaba, a major show on a popular streaming platform. The show followed the ups and downs in the life of this popular fashion designer, and Ritasha played the role of the designer's best friend. But this time, there was a big difference.
But not one mention. There was nothing at script level, audition level, nothing about her being a big girl. And I was like, yeah, this is something I can get behind because that's not her identifier. There's like so much more to this woman as there is to each one of us, no?
It's a heartwarming turnaround. But as I talked to Ritasha, I realized that there are other complicated layers to her life, especially when it comes to her relationship with social media. Social media today has made it possible for all of us to be far more expressive than we have ever been. We each get a platform to project ourselves as the central character of our life stories and showcase it to the world. At the same time, more and more of us, and I count myself in this too, are second-guessing ourselves constantly. We're so quick to be branded. If you change your mind about something, if you evolve, sometimes there isn't space for that because the boxes that we find ourselves in on social media are often so tight and rigid. Ritasha has experienced this too. She calls it staying alive on the algorithm. And I agree. There's fame, there's adulation, and a following that's cheering her on. While it was meant to liberate her, though, social media seems to be stuffing her into another box, one that could be reducing her to a two-dimensional person.
It kind of has reached a point where I'm feeling a bit pigeonholed by this whole identity of being this body positive, whatever, youth icon. And I'm like, there's much more to me. But I understand also there's some kind of responsibility. I want to say burden, but it's not a burden. Some days it feels like that. But some kind of responsibility where I feel like, okay, occasionally I'm okay to talk about it because I do know what a difference it makes to like young girls. Otherwise, I'm just a bit tired because I'm also not body positive on most days. What is body positive? Like, I think we're totally ignoring the body neutrality movement.
Just to explain, the body neutrality movement argues that it's okay to take the middle path between body positivity and negativity, that you needn't feel good or bad about how you look. Social media is also where casting directors these days are looking for actors. So it does become important to ensure that you're alive and thriving on the algorithm. And I know I wake up every morning saying, oh God, what do I post today? And I find it hard. I find it hard to make up a story about my life, especially when it's meant to be a positive story. Every day. Whew. It is exhausting to be swaying from the real life to the online life. Today, Ritasha is happy about a bunch of things. She's leading life on her own terms. She's enjoying her success and her fame, while trying to also be herself in the process. There's also another little something that's going on in her life offline. Her teenage anxieties about not finding a boyfriend are finally evaporating, and she appreciates the journey that's brought her here.
I think a large part of my life went by without me receiving any attention from the opposite sex. I have always been very sex positive, I think, from a young age. I think living in Bombay, being exposed to all kinds of Western media and all of that, reading Judy Blume, we were growing up and we were learning things, and everyone used to like talk about things in school. It was quite open.
Ritasha found her first boyfriend when she was 21. And she said finding him that quote-unquote late was a problem. Once in drama school, she was part of a group that was rehearsing this play called 4.48 Psychosis by Sarah Kane. It's a play that documents the experience of clinical depression, among other things.
But there's some intense scenes in there where there's some physical intimacy involved. So the whole class had been like divided up into partners and pairs. We did it somehow. I've told my teacher also, I was like, I'm very nervous about this. I don't know what to do and all. She was like, just speak to your classmates. You'll figure it out. Now, what is she going to tell me?
But you could be that open.
Yeah.
You could be that open to be able to say, hey, I haven't done this.
Yeah.
But you didn't feel like left out.
Luckily, there were 2 more virgins in class, so I was good. I was like, thank God, we are all still on the other side. I knew, of course, at some point in life it would happen. You'd meet the right person and all of that. But no, I think I felt quite calm. That's what, no, it was a safe space. So you could be whoever you were. You could openly talk about the things that troubled you.
In any case, after drama school, Ritasha felt like she could put herself out there, trying her luck on dating apps. And after a few mishaps and misturns, today, she says she might have found love. He hails from a small city in North India.
We come from very, very, very different worlds. And sometimes I feel like an alien in his world. And I know he feels like an alien every time he comes to a South Bombay wedding or a South Bombay engagement party with me. It's also like, what is this world? And I'm like, what is that world? So also understanding both of these worlds and being like, neither is right or wrong. Now that you and I have decided to be together, we're just going to make our own world and be happy in that.
To me, Ritasha's journey from her teens to today is nothing short of a nice rom-com movie plot. The kind I'd like to watch, I think. It's real, it's relatable, and it's a journey that's ongoing. It's also a story that reflects many of our struggles with the kind of beauty standards that society prescribes for us, especially women, and our battle to respond with just a, let me be the way I am, or this is beautiful too. Maybe it's time to go back to that old saying, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Who is to say where beauty really must or should reside? Is there even one kind of beauty? And why must your idea of beauty match mine? In the next episode of Kalki Presents My Indian Life, Avni Lekra was a young child that loved dancing until a freak road accident left her legs paralyzed. That didn't stop her from aiming for the stars. Today, she's India's Paralympic gold medalist, and she's only getting started.
When I see a lot of people looking up and saying, because of you, we didn't give up, and I am not giving up. Even if one person is inspired, that is the real success for me.
Kalki Presents My Indian Life is an All Things Small production for the BBC World Service. I hope you've been enjoying listening to Season 3 so far. If you like this podcast, please hit the follow or subscribe button on your podcast app. You can find us on BBC World Service on Twitter and Facebook, or use the hashtag MyIndianLife with your comments and suggestions. Thanks for listening.